Hey you, just think for a second about your place. Attic. Back of a closet, maybe. Chances are pretty good you've got some actual physical family photos tucked away somewhere. Albums, maybe, or just loose prints in a shoebox.
Hmm.
And, well, if you're anything like me, you sometimes get that little nudge, that thought, how do I actually make sure these things last?
That is precisely the big question we're diving into today.
Mhm.
Think about those snapshots, right? They're sort of an irreplaceable record of where your family's been.
Totally irreplaceable.
So our mission here is to give you a really clear, actionable path, how to turn those physical moments into a digital treasure trove that's safe, that's accessible. We've looked at some really great sources that kind of the practical stuff, but also, why it matters so much.
Yeah, why it matters is huge because, let's face it, those prints, we love them, but they're kind of vulnerable, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Colors fade, paper gets brittle, someone spills coffee. Life happens. So digitizing, it feels like more than just getting them on a computer. It's like giving them a digital shield.
A digital shield? I like that.
Yeah,
It means you can share them easily, look back whenever you want, and importantly, pass them on without worrying they'll just crumble away.
exactly. It's about securing that legacy.
Precisely. And the material we reviewed really hammers home this idea of being proactive, taking charge of your family's story, visually speaking. And step one, maybe surprisingly, is just getting it all in one place.
Okay, practicalities. So before scanners, before sending anything off, it's like you become a photo detective in your own house.
Huh. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Dig out every album, every envelope, every single loose photo you can find.
Get the whole picture, literally.
Exactly. You need the full collection in front of you. And as you're doing that initial hunt, the sources really stress how helpful it is to start organizing right then and there.
Organization. Okay, that sounds potentially daunting if you've got like boxes and boxes.
It can feel that way.
But the idea of grouping them, maybe chronologically or by like holidays or different family branches, that feels manageable.
Oh, and that tip about using sticky notes inside the albums before taking photos out?
Yes,
That's crucial.
that's smart. Avoids a massive headache later, I bet.
It really does. It sets up a framework, a kind of map for the whole scanning process, makes everything smoother, whether you DIY it or use a service, which naturally leads to the next big choice.
Right. How do you actually do the digitizing? And the sources basically lay out two main paths, doing it yourself with a flatbed scanner or sending them off to a professional service.
Mhm.
Now, the scanner, that appeals to the control freak in me. You control the quality, the resolution settings.
And that's a real plus. We saw mentions of Peter Crow, who wrote the DAM book, Digital Asset Management, and he really emphasizes using good gear for top-notch scans. If quality is your absolute priority and you don't mind the hands-on time, a flatbed is definitely a strong contender.
Uh-huh. But then you look at the piles.
Right. The time factor. And think, okay, how many weekends is this going to take? And that's where the pros come in, isn't it? The appeal there is just efficiency.
Absolutely. Pack them up, ship them off, get digital files back. It's straightforward, especially for huge collections or if you're just really pressed for time.
Saves a ton of effort.
It does. But, it's worth doing your homework. Make sure the service has a good rep for handling precious items carefully and that they offer the kind of scans you actually want. Resolution, file types, that sort of thing.
Good point. Due diligence.
Yes.
Okay, so photos gathered, maybe roughly sorted, method chosen, scanner or service. Now let's get slightly technical. Resolution, DPI, dots per inch. Sounds like tech jargon, but it seems really important.
It's fundamental, really. The sources we looked at are pretty clear. For good quality digital copies, ones you might want to print again at roughly the same size, you're looking at a minimum of 300 DPI, ideally maybe 600 DPI.
Okay, 300 to 600 for prints.
Think of DPI like pixel density, how much information the scanner grabs from the original. Higher DPI means more detail captured. Makes sense. And it changes for slides and negatives, right? The recommendation jumps way up, like 2400 to 3200 DPI. Why so much higher?
Well, think about how tiny a slide or a negative is compared to a print.
Right, they're small.
But they hold a ton of detail packed into that small space to capture all that fine detail. So it looks sharp when you enlarge it digitally or make a bigger print. You need that much higher scanning resolution. Sure. It's about pulling out all the visual data that's actually there.
Ah, okay. So you're basically matching the scan detail to the detail potential of the original format.
Exactly. Tailor the DPI to what you're scanning.
Got it. So, okay, we've got these nice high-res digital files now. But we're not quite done, are we? The sources mentioned, breathing new life into them, editing and restoration.
Yeah, this is where some real digital magic can happen. You know, those old photos, maybe the colors have gone a bit weird, or they've got dust specks, scratches, maybe even little tears.
Oh yeah, definitely got some of those.
Well, photo editing software, something like Adobe Photoshop, if you want the Pro Tools,
Hmm.
or even great free options like GIMP, lets you fix a lot of that. You can adjust colors, clean up blemishes, basically restore them closer to how they originally looked.
Wow, that's amazing. Like a digital fountain of youth for photos.
Right.
The idea of bringing back the bright colors in a faded picture, that feels really impactful.
It absolutely can be.
Mm.
Makes reconnecting with those moments even stronger. And once you've done any editing you want,
Yeah.
the next step is absolutely critical,
Mm.
organizing and backing up the digital file.
Right. You've put in all this effort. You can't just let the digital copies disappear into the ether.
Exactly. You don't want a hard drive failure to wipe out all that work.
So the advice is pretty clear. Folders, labels, make it logical. By year, by event, by person, whatever works.
Create a system.
And then back up, back up, back up. I saw that emphasized. Use multiple methods, right? Like cloud storage, Google Drive, Dropbox, whatever, and a physical external hard drive.
Yes, both is best. It's about redundancy. Cloud storage protects against physical disaster at your home, like fire or flood. An external drive protects against cloud service issues or if you lose internet access. Having both covers your bases.
Digital belt and braces. Makes total sense.
It's crucial for peace of mind.
Okay, now something else that caught my eye was this idea of metadata magic. What's that all about? Sounds intriguing.
It's actually really useful. Metadata is basically information about the photo that you embed into the digital file itself.
Like what kind of info?
Dates, specific locations, names of the people in the picture, maybe even a little note about what was happening.
Oh, I see. So instead of just having a file name img1234.jpg, you have data inside it saying Aunt Carol's 50th birthday, July 1998, backyard.
Precisely. And the magic part is that this metadata makes your photos searchable. Imagine years from now wanting to find all the pictures of your grandpa or photos from that specific trip. If you've added metadata, you can just search for it.
That's brilliant. Solves the problem of scrolling through endless thumbnails trying to find something specific. And I guess for future generations, that context is priceless.
Absolutely. It turns a collection of images into a documented, searchable family archive. Adds so much value. And speaking of value and sharing, another great suggestion was creating digital slideshows or maybe short video montages.
Oh, that's a lovely idea. Taking these newly digitized photos and actually bringing them back into family life.
Exactly. For a family reunion, an anniversary, a big birthday, imagine a slideshow playing, showing photos across the decades. Is much more dynamic than just passing albums around, isn't it?
Way more engaging, and everyone gets to see them easily. Great way to spark conversations and memories, too.
For sure. Transforms them from static files back into living memories.
Now, shifting gears slightly, the sources had a couple of historical facts that really put this all in perspective. You caught the bit about the very first photograph.
I did, yeah. 1826, using some process called heliography. It sounded incredibly complex.
Right, it just makes you realize how far we've come. And then contrast that single difficult image with, what was the estimate? Something like 5 trillion photos stored digitally by 2025.
5 trillion. It's just mind-boggling, isn't it? The sheer scale of visual information we're creating and storing now.
It really is. And it kind of makes this whole process feel bigger. Like by digitizing your own family photos, you're not just doing a personal chore, you're kind of participating in this massive global shift in how we remember things.
That's a great way to think about it. You're plugging your family's story into this vast, ongoing digital memory project. It underlines the significance, I think. It's not just tech. It's about curating history, your history.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the main takeaway? If someone's listening and feeling overwhelmed by their boxes of photos, what's the key message?
I think it's this. Digitizing your family photos goes way beyond just stopping them from fading or getting damaged. It's really an act of reconnection.
Reconnect.
Yeah, reconnecting with your past, making those moments alive and accessible now, and making sure they're there for the future. It's about preserving your unique story.
That's powerful. So the
Yeah.
advice is just start. Don't let the scale paralyze you.
Exactly.
Mm.
Take that first step, gather the albums, maybe sort one box. Even that small start makes a difference.
Right. Break it down.
Because, every single one of those photos, it's not just paper and chemicals. It's a little piece of your legacy, isn't it? A moment captured.
Mhm.
And taking these steps, digitizing them, It's how you ensure those moments, those stories, don't just fade away. It's about actively protecting that legacy, one snapshot at a time.